Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to take this opportunity to share a brief reflection about our preparation for returning to public masses this weekend. I thought I'd do this in a video format for the purpose of allowing you to see what our church looks like. As you can see behind us here, we are using many of our plastic chairs. The normal chairs that we use, as you are familiar here in the church, are covered in fabric. And several people on the reopening team expressed concern about the sanitary aspects of that, the cleaning aspects that we will be doing after every single Mass, and that might be a little bit more difficult with a fabric surface. And so it was decided that we would bring in these plastic chairs and to set them up socially distanced, safely distanced throughout the church. So you can see there's different groupings of 2, 4, 3 chairs, and again it's maybe not going to be exactly perfect, but it's our plan for this weekend, and we'll see how it goes. And so just really stress your cooperation, your flexibility, and your understanding with this as we try to figure it out. We'll reassess it, and if we need to do something different, we'll do so. But again, I just encourage you to be very flexible with us and charitable in how it is we undergo this weekend. One of the reasons why I think it's important for us to gather together for Mass is because of the gift of our faith. That is something that really shouldn't be lived in a virtual sense. It should be something that we live as a community gathered together as the assembly of God, as the church is meant to be. And so it's a great privilege that we have this opportunity, but we also take very seriously the need to provide for a safe environment. That's why we have basically been shut down, in a sense, for the past 2.5, nearly 3 months. And so we're making every effort possible to ensure that whenever you do come here to Mass, you will feel safe, you will recognize that we are trying to take all the precautions necessary. But at the same time, to recognize anytime we leave our houses, there is a risk. There's always the opportunity that we could contract something, and that's no different during the COVID-19 outbreak as it is during the flu season. All of the dangers are always there. So just be conscious of that. Along those lines, the bishop has continued to extend his dispensation from the obligation to attend Sunday Mass. In other words, if you want to kind of summarize it, if you don't feel comfortable coming because of health concerns and fear of maybe getting sick or spreading sickness, please know that you are in good conscience able to stay home and you're not incurring a mortal sin. At the same time, though, just also be conscious, too, of not using that just as a convenient exception to say, well, I don't have to go to Mass, so therefore I have more free time to do whatever it is I want to do. So if you're going out shopping and all of these other things that are putting you in contact with other people, just consider whether it's appropriate for you to be not coming to Mass based on kind of a convenience factor. Again, don't want to force anybody to come here, but also recognize that that we need to be prayerful about that. The command that the Lord gives to us to keep holy the Sabbath is going to always remain, right? There will never be a dispensation in which we don't keep holy the Sabbath. So Sunday should be a day in which we do dedicate ourselves to striving to be more attentive to our worship of God, who we owe our gratitude for our very existence and for the blessings that He has given to us. The Church gives us as the norm the celebration of Sunday Mass, but there are times in which we are not able to do that. Nevertheless, the obligation for us to make holy the Sabbath still remains. So just keep that in mind as well. A few things that you'll notice that are different here whenever you come to Mass. We will not be handing out our hymnals. So again, the reduction in the number of things that are touched is of the highest priority for us. So no hymnals will be passed out. The bulletins will not be passed out. Please refer to those online, which they are available from our parish website. And then also, whenever the collection is taken, we won't do that in a physical way. As you come into the church, if you have your collection, you can just drop it off in the basket just inside the door. Or you can also contribute online. And I've sent out information in the past about how to do that, but we will not be handling a collection. Also, during the celebration of Mass itself, as you can see in these chairs, we don't have kneelers there. And so what do we do during that time? Well, in the times whenever we normally stand, we stand. In the times we normally sit, we sit. So that shouldn't be different. But what about those times whenever we normally kneel? You're certainly within your ability, if you're able to kneel, to please do so. Maybe it's a little bit painful, but that's a small sacrifice to offer up to God. But at the same time, many of you, I know, you can't kneel. You can't kneel in normal circumstances. In that case, I would recommend that the general posture would be one of standing. And then if you're not able to stand during those times in which we normally kneel, then feel free to sit. Again, I think it highlights the levels of posture that recognize the worship that we give to God. Kneeling is the highest form of adoration. We do that obviously during the Eucharistic prayer and in preparation to receive Holy Communion. We stand whenever we listen to the gospel because of the importance of the message, the words and the teachings of Jesus Christ himself. And so that's a higher form of attentiveness, and our sitting is that kind of receptiveness, receptivity in listening, to the Word of God and the homily and preparing ourselves for the liturgy of the Eucharist. So I'll give all of these explanations before Mass as well, but just kind of keep that in mind as we are preparing. When it comes time for Holy Communion, we will just be distributing the body of Christ. Obviously, we will not be distributing the precious blood. And instead of trying to figure out the complexity of doing a procession, it was recommended to me by the reopening team to actually go through the church and bring communion to you. As you can see, there's a lot of space in between our rows, so it won't present a challenge for me to be able to move about the church. And I think what we'll have you do is, at the time of communion, everybody is standing, and then as I bring communion to you, you can either kneel or sit down to indicate that you have received communion, so that I can be assured that I have got to everybody in the church and giving them Holy Communion to those who would like to see that. You'll also notice that we won't have servers at Mass, again, to reduce the number of touches to things that I come into contact with in particular. Nicholas Lindstrom, our seminarian, will be here at Masses, and he'll kind of fulfill some of those serving roles. Again, he's been living in the rectory, so we have kind of that shared space in which I think we're safe for the two of us to interact for the liturgy. So our normal lectors will be obviously doing readings. We won't have communion ministers because I'll be the only one distributing Holy Communion. Some other things that you will recognize, and this was what we had put in place before we began the pandemic, was no physical sign of peace, at least to those that are not in our families. So some sort of acknowledgement of peace will suffice. In that regard also, just be mindful that the recommendation for us is wherever social distancing is difficult, that 6-foot distance, to wear masks. Especially as you're coming into the church, that's, there's going to be, it's impossible for us to maintain that 6-foot distance. So as you're coming in, please be sure to wear your mask. During the liturgy, I will not be wearing a mask. I'll be plenty far away from everybody. But whenever I do come down to distribute Holy Communion, I will be wearing a mask. So in case you're wondering about that. One of the recommendations that has also come about has to do with music. Many experts have said that the act of singing produces a greater force in the diaphragm area, which causes more of these droplets to come out, and to come out at a greater velocity or whatever the proper term is, and could spread those droplets through the air. And as we know, that's the primary way, one of the primary ways that the coronavirus spreads. And so it's been encouraged that people refrain from singing. As somebody said to me, that's for many Catholics, that's a dream come true. because a lot of people don't necessarily sing anyway. So just be conscious of that. We'll kind of still have music, obviously, but we'll tone down on the participation as far as people singing. So again, it's going to be a very different experience this weekend, to be sure. And once again, I just stress your cooperation, your understanding, your flexibility, and your charity with it all. You know, this is something we don't have a playbook for. It's not something we've had to experience before, and we're doing the very best that we can. So please be assured that we are taking this all very seriously, and that we will reassess and make changes as necessary. But in the meantime, we look forward to welcoming those of you who are feeling comfortable to be able to join us for Mass. And at the time of this video making, we have just about 100 people, so about 30 people at each Mass. And I listed 55 spots, knowing that we can actually hold about 75, 78, or 80 people. I want to make sure that we leave a little bit of openness in there for those who maybe were not aware of the sign up, and or maybe who were not able to use the online sign-up system. So again, looking forward very much to welcome you back here to Mass this Sunday. I'll be praying for all of you, and we'll be praying that we all remain safe this weekend, and a special word of thanks to our volunteers who are going to be helping to clean after all of the Masses, those who are going to help to coordinate kind of the flow of traffic and all of those things. So it's going to be an exciting weekend, and like I said, I'm really looking forward to seeing all of you, those of you who are able to come, and whenever the rest of you feel comfortable coming back, we'll look forward to seeing you then. But we'll all be united in prayer, giving thanks to God for this wonderful gift of our faith and the opportunity that we have to gather again to express our faith together as the people of God that are members of the church. Thanks, and God bless you.